indigent defense cases. Since joining the Federal Public Defender in 2020, she's balanced her advocacy with mentoring future lawyers. Ms. Carmen Moreno Sanz is a Spanish teacher at Winston Churchill High School and passionate human rights advocate. Guided by her humanist philosophy and background in linguistics, she uses the power of language to challenge injustice, amplify marginalized voices, and promote social justice. Through both teaching and advocacy, she works to foster empathy, diversity, and human rights awareness with experience supporting refugees, advancing gender equality, and combating discrimination. Mr. Sean Norman is a deaf, queer advocate and community leader in DC, serving as president of the DC Association of the Deaf and chairing the Deaf, Blind, Deaf Disabled, and Hard of Hearing Subcommittee for World Pride 2025. He's also a substitute teacher at the Laurent Clair National Deaf Education Center and has held roles with Mayor's Office of Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing and the National Association of the Deaf. Active in both deaf and LGBTQ+ communities, he's worked as a deaf interpreter at DC Pride and helped launch the first ASL team in the Stonewall Kickball League. Ms. Jasmine Lee Scott is a community support worker at The Healthy Place with a background spanning firefighting, emergency services, education, and community engagement. A former DC fire and EMS firefighter, EMT, she has dedicated her career to supporting families and underserved communities through direct service, outreach, and nonprofit work. She's currently working to launch her own nonprofit to empower youth and families in DC. Ms. Isabel Vladoiu is an international human rights law specialist and founder of the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights. With over a decade of experience, she's trained more than 15,000 people on human rights, anti-trafficking, DEI, and global security, sharing her expertise with policymakers, government officials, and international leaders. Recognized with the President's Volunteer Service and Lifetime Achievement Awards, she's also a best-selling author and the organizer of global summits at the United Nations and beyond, fostering dialogue and collaboration on pressing human rights issues worldwide. Mr. Ashley Smith is the president of the board of directors for Capital Pride Alliance and general manager of the Sheraton Pentagon City with more than 20 years of experience in hospitality. A longtime advocate for LGBTQ+ equality, he also serves on the Human Rights Campaign Foundation board and has previously led and supported multiple LGBTQ+ organizations in DC. He was a national co-chair of the 2017 Equality March and continues to champion inclusion and representation through both his professional and community leadership. It's not an easy task to serve on the commission, but it's an incredibly important one. The committee hopes to hear from our nominees today about their respective visions for the commission and their experience and qualifications for the role. Filling these positions will help ensure that the critical work of protecting human rights in the district, which is more than ever right now, can continue. Just some logistical announcements for today's hearing. We only have one public witness. We will promote him in a moment if he has joined us. He'll have 3 minutes to testify. And then we will turn to our government witnesses. So I will ask for William Jordan to be promoted to the panel if he is here. Okay, see you now. And if there's anybody else in the Zoom today who would like to give testimony as a public witness, just raise your hand and we will promote you. This will be our only panel of public witnesses. Okay, any hands? Okay, all right. So we do not have a public witness with us today. Perhaps he will submit written testimony. So instead, we are going to call our government witnesses. Do you want me to do all in one panel then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're in the room and I call your name, come on and take a seat. And then we also have some folks joining by Zoom. Sim Singh Uttarawala, if you could take a seat. Carmen Moreno Sanz. Jasmine Lee Scott. Dr. Isabel Vladoiu. And then we have Alexis Gardner and Sean Norman virtually.
One over. Okay. Right, I added an extra seat. You can push it aside.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, so if you all could just go in the order that I called your name, I can remind you if needed. And I am going to ask everybody before you begin to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you are about to give to the Committee on Public Works and Operations is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Nadeau and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and thank you for Mayor Muriel E. Bowser for nominating me to the Commission on Human Rights. I'm honored to have this opportunity to serve the residents of our district. It is an honor to be considered for this critical role. My name is Simjay Singh Atariwala, and I currently serve as the Director of the Anti-Hate Program at Asian Americans Advancing Justice, AAJC, where I lead our federal advocacy and public education efforts to address hate, improve data collection, and strengthen community partnerships in order to advance racial justice on behalf of all Americans. Prior to that, I directed the Department of Justice's Center for Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnerships, where I work closely with the Community Relations Service and other U.S. Department of Justice components to support communities facing conflict, discrimination, and hate. I've also held roles at MEDA, the Sikh Coalition, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and in private practice. I earned my law degree, as well as most recently an LLM from Georgetown University Law Center, and I've been proud to make the district my home for nearly a decade. Living and working here has not only shaped my career, but also my values, which I share with my spouse as we raise our young daughter and stay rooted in community life. The mission of the DC Human Rights Commission resonates deeply with me, both professionally and personally. For more than a decade, I've worked on issues that align closely with this body's charge. My past and current work reflects the principle that every person deserves dignity, respect, fairness, and equal protection under the law. I want to serve on this commission because I know firsthand the difference of a fair process and that a trusted institution can make. My background allows for me to bridge the perspectives of government, advocacy, and community, and I've navigated government and policymaking, and I've also sat in community centers listening to families who felt invisible in the systems meant to protect them. The dual lens of understanding institutions and understanding people makes me well suited for serving on this commission. And looking ahead, my vision for the Human Rights Commission centers on 3 priorities. First, I would like to help the commission expand initiatives around language access to make our process more accessible and to partner with agencies and community organizations to identify where gaps remain and to reaffirm that language access is a fundamental right. Second, strengthening public commitments to human rights. The district is home to many nonprofit organizations dedicated to advancing human rights, and they too would benefit from the Commission's clear voice. Together, these efforts can strengthen the confidence that the district not only protects the rights of people, but also champions them. Third, I anticipate emerging human rights challenges. Discrimination evolves, and the Commission must be prepared to address it. The Commission has an opportunity not only to respond, but to lead in showing how local institutions can safeguard human rights in a rapidly changing world. In sum, I come to this nomination with gratitude, with a career dedicated to advancing justice, and with a commitment to furthering the Commission's mission. I believe the District of Columbia should be a place where every resident, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, disability, or background, feels protected, valued, and included. Thank you, Chair Nadeau, for the opportunity to testify before this committee and for your consideration. I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to you for those. Okay, Carmen?
Chair Nadeau and all members of the committee, I wish to begin by expressing my deep gratitude to each of you for your service and for the opportunity to appear before you today. I also extend my sincere thanks to Mayor Muriel Bowser for her trust in nominating me in this meaningful position. My name is Carmen Moreno Sanz, and I stand before you not only as an educator, a cultural manager and a former interpreter at the Supreme Court of Spain, but as someone whose entire life has been dedicated to defending human dignity and the belief that every person deserves to be seen, respected, and valued. My path has been profoundly global. I have lived, studied, and worked in different countries, experiencing the extraordinary richness of human diversity. And I have also seen how the absence of cultural understanding can lead to division, fear, or injustice. These experiences have taught me that valuing diversity is not optional, it is essential to building a more just and peaceful world. For more than 15 years at the Supreme Court of Spain, I witnessed the solemn duty of institutions to protect the vulnerable and to uphold the principles of fairness and equality. As a cultural manager, I brought communities together through art and literature, creating spaces where dialogue replaced prejudice and empathy could grow. As an educator, both in high school and at Georgetown University, I have the privilege of inspiring the next generation. In my classroom, human rights are not abstract ideals, are the living principles that guide how students see themselves and one another. Every day, I strive to model what it means to live with justice, integrity, and compassion. My global journey, my years in the highest courts of justice, my work in cultural dialogue, and my daily teaching practice converge in one unshakable belief: human rights are the foundation of peace. To weaken them is to sow inequality, to strengthen them is to ensure that every person has the chance to thrive. It will be an honor to bring this perspective and commitment to the vital work of the Commission. I offer my service with humility, gratitude, and the deep conviction that together we can keep the District of Columbia as a beacon of human rights for all its residents. Chair Nadeau, thank you for allowing me to testify before the committee today and for giving me the opportunity to respond to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jasmine Lee.
Good morning, Chairman Nadeau and members of the committee. My name is Jasmine Lee Scott, and it is my honor to appear before you today as a nominee to serve on a Commission on Human Rights. I am deeply grateful to Mayor Muriel Bowser for her nomination, and I thank the committee for holding this hearing and for your consideration of my candidacy. I was born and raised right here in Washington, D.C., specifically in Ward 8. At the age of 18, I began serving our city as a firefighter EMT, a role I held for nearly 7 years. That experience shaped my commitment to public service and my understanding of the unique challenges our residents face. I later pursued higher education at Trinity Washington University, where I recently earned my Bachelor of Arts in Health Services. Professionally, I have dedicated myself to community-focused roles that build equity and opportunity. I have worked as a community outreach specialist, family success specialist, part-time community support worker, and now as a community health worker at Community of Hope. In each of these roles, I have worked directly with the residents by helping families navigate health disparities, connecting individuals to resources, and empowering people to advocate for their needs. Through these experiences, I have witnessed firsthand how the social determinants of health, systemic inequities, and lack of access to resources impact my neighbors, relatives, and friends. I believe that these challenges are not just policy issues, but they are human rights issues. My professional and personal journey has instilled in me a deep commitment to advancing human rights in our city and ensuring that all residents, regardless of race, income, or zip code, are treated with dignity and fairness. If confirmed, I plan to bring both lived experience and professional expertise to the commission. My vision is to strengthen the commission's role as a protector and promoter of equity across the district. I will work to expand awareness of residents' rights, ensure accountability in addressing discrimination, and continue to collaborate with community organizations to close gaps in access to resources. I also hope to contribute innovative ideas that respond to emerging challenges, whether in housing, employment, or education, while building on the commission's ongoing successes. Thank you, Chairman Nadeau and members of the committee, for the opportunity to testify before you today. I'm honored by the trust placed in me through this nomination, and I would be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Dr. Lado.
Oops.
Good morning, Chairperson Nadeau and members of the committee. I'm Dr. Isabel Vladoyo, and it's my pleasure to receive your consideration for my nomination to serve on the District of Columbia Commission on Human Rights. I'm profoundly grateful to Mayor Muriel Bowser for her confidence in nominating me and honored to have this opportunity to serve the residents of our district. I'm an international human rights specialist and educator with more than a decade of experience in advancing human rights, diplomacy, and governance. I hold a Juris Doctor and a Master of Laws in Human Rights, and I have earned a doctorate in global security from the American Military University. As the chairwoman and founder of the United States Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, I have trained more than 20,000 individuals from 135 countries in areas such as human rights, anti-human trafficking, religious discrimination, and international protocol. In the district, I have been deeply engaged with the community, working with the mayor's office on Latino affairs and local schools to train youth on human rights and civic engagement, and with the mayor's office on community affairs to expand awareness and outreach initiatives, including community workshops. These partnerships reflect my belief in the importance of empowering our residents and building stronger, more inclusive communities. The mission of the Commission on Human Rights resonates deeply with me because every resident of the district should live, work, and learn free from discrimination. As the independent adjudicative body of the DC Office of Human Rights, the Commission doesn't handle abstract issues, but issues that affect the daily lives and dignity of our residents. As a human rights specialist, I am committed to ensuring that protections against discrimination are not only upheld, but also widely understood. I believe I'm the right nominee for this role because I bring both professional expertise and a proven record of local engagement. My experience bridging communities, empowering youth, and advocating for equity ensures that I can help the Commission advance its mission while maintaining the trust and confidence of our residents. If confirmed, I envision my role on the Commission as an opportunity to strengthen the mission, to eliminate discrimination, and to safeguard the rights of all district residents. I intend to focus on, first, supporting the Commission's role in adjudicating cases fairly so district residents know they have a strong, independent body to turn to when discrimination occurs. Second, continuing my work to educate our residents about their rights with special attention to youth, immigrant communities, and underserved populations. Third, guaranteeing that the Commission's processes and resources are accessible to all, including residents for whom English is not their first language and who face barriers for participation. Finally, building trust and momentum, continuing the Commission's work and addressing any gaps that may still exist where residents feel underserved or unheard. Thank you, Chairperson Nadeau, for the opportunity to testify before this committee. I once again thank Mayor Bowser for nominating me and entrusting me with this responsibility. I would be honored to contribute my expertise and passion to the Commission, and I would be happy to respond to questions from you and the members of the committee.
Thank you very much. We'll now turn to our witnesses who are virtual, starting with Alexis Gardner.
Good morning, Chair Nadeau and members of the committee. I'm Alexis Morgan Gardner, and it's my pleasure to receive your consideration for my nomination to serve on the Human Rights Commission. I'm grateful to Mayor Muriel Bowser for nominating me and honored to have this opportunity to serve the residents of the district. Public service has been the through line of my career. Before entering the legal profession, I worked as an educator and tutor for low-income students in Los Angeles, striving to expand opportunities for those most in need. After law school, in addition to helping launch the first ever public defender's office solely for women in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I opened my own firm where over half of my practice was dedicated to indigent defense, and I regularly took on pro bono cases. For the past 5 years, I've served as a federal public defender in the district, representing individuals in some of their most challenging moments. In every role, I've sought not only to provide excellent advocacy, but also to treat each client with dignity and compassion, recognizing that access to justice is itself a fundamental human right. I believe my lived experience, my professional service, and my dedication to equity uniquely position me to contribute to the Commission's work. Human rights are not abstract ideals. They're the daily realities of people navigating housing, employment, education, and justice in the district. I've seen firsthand how structural inequities harm our communities, and I'm committed to ensuring that the district remains a place where every resident is seen, respected, and valued. It would be a privilege to bring my perspective and commitment to this vital body. I come to this work with a deep respect for the Commission's vision, with a sense of responsibility shaped by my own lived experiences, and with a steadfast determination to ensure that human rights are protected both in principle and in practice across the district. Thank you, Chair Nadeau, for the opportunity to testify before this committee. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Good morning, Chairperson Nadeau and members of the committee. Thank you for holding this hearing. I also want to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for this honorable nomination. My name is Sean Norman, and I'm humbled at the opportunity to serve on the Commission on Human Rights for the District of Columbia. I grew up in Harvey, Illinois, where I began my advocacy journey with deaf youth. I organized after-school socials with parent support, bringing kids together for activities such as bowling and other community events. These spaces were about more than fun. They created belonging, fostered friendships and identities, and encouraged young deaf people to embrace their identities. In 2014, I moved to Washington, D.C. to pursue my bachelor's degree at Gallaudet University. While at Gallaudet, I stepped into leadership roles with the Rainbow Society and the Black Student Union, where I learned the importance of building intersectional coalitions and lifting up underrepresented voices. After graduation, I continued to expand my advocacy work. One of the highlights of my career was my time at the National Association of the Deaf, where I had the privilege of working with an incredible team committed to advancing equality for the deaf community nationwide. I also served on the Racism Dismantling Committee, focusing on equality and inclusion efforts within the organization. In addition, I worked with the Mayor's Office of Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing, where I gained firsthand experience serving DC's local deaf community and understanding the role of government in advancing accessibility. Outside of formal roles, I'm passionate about community building. I host deaf LGBTQ+ events in DC that bring people together to connect, strengthen networks, and advocate for one another. Today, I serve as board president of the DC Association of the Deaf, where I continue to amplify the voices of deaf youth, LGBTQ+, BIPOC, and other deaf community members who may lack access to higher education and resources. My advocacy for deaf, blind, deaf disabled, hard of hearing, and late deafened communities is rooted in a simple truth. We all deserve equal access. What hearing and able-bodied people have, we deserve too. Equal access means ensuring accommodation so that everyone can fully participate without barriers. I envision a city where access is not an exception, but the norm, and where equity is woven into every space. I'm here to fight for that vision, to educate those who may not have met us or were never taught how to engage with us, and to build a culture where equal access is recognized as a basic right. I see the Commission on Human Rights as a vital force for equity and justice in our city. If confirmed, I will bring my lived experience and years of advocacy to ensure that the rights of marginalized communities, especially deaf, deafblind, deaf, disabled, and hard of hearing residents are recognized, protected, and uplifted. My vision is to continue breaking down barriers, foster inclusion, and ensure that all DC residents can thrive free from discrimination. Thank you, Chairperson Nadeau, for the opportunity to testify before this committee. I would be happy to respond to any questions from you and the members of the committee.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Okay. Oh, your guidance is the opposite. Okay. Just to go yes, no, yes, no. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of you. And these are standard questions. So I'm trying to be strategic about this. Okay. So to make it easy, I'm going to talk to you all at once because I have certain standard yes or no questions. And I'll just go down the line in the same order that you testified on these. And then you're welcome to add or make a statement to any of your answers. I want it all on the record. So, okay. So same order we went in. So Mr. Atariwala, are you a resident of the District of Columbia? And if so, in which ward of the district do you reside?
I am a resident in Ward 1.
Okay. And Ms. Sanz? Ms. Moreno Sanz?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a resident and I live in Ward 3.
3. Okay. Jasmine Lee?
Yes, I'm a resident. I still live in Ward 8.
Okay. And Dr. Vladoyu?
Yes, I'm a resident. I live in Ward 1.
All these Ward 1 residents. I love it. Okay. Alexis Gardner?
Yes, I'm a resident of Ward 4.
Ward 4. And Sean Norman?
Yes, I live in Ward 5.
Okay. I got everybody? Okay. Next question. Are you an officer or director, either nonprofit or for-profit, of either a nonprofit or for-profit, which is doing business with the DC government? So same order.
No.
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 Okay. Third question. Do you or does anyone of your immediate family hold an ownership interest in any firm that is now doing or has ever done business with the District of Columbia?
No.
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 Fourth question. Are you currently a member of any board or commission connected with the DC government?
No.
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 Okay, that one was also unanimous. Number 5, do you have any outstanding liability for any taxes, fees, or other payments to the district, federal or other state or local governments, either contested or uncontested?
Not to my awareness and knowledge.
Not to my knowledge.
Yes.
Okay,
No.
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 okay. And Ms. Scott, did you want to expand on that at all?
It is not with the district. It is federal, but it is being rectified every day. So.
Okay, okay. We can follow up with you on that too. It's not uncommon. Okay. Number 6, have you ever been investigated, disciplined, or cited for a breach of ethics for unprofessional conduct?
No.
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 Number 7, have you ever been the subject of a disciplinary complaint to any court, administrative agency, professional association, disciplinary committee, or other professional group?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to you so you can tell us more.
No.
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 Yes.
Okay. No.
And
from
no.
Mr. Norman. Okay. Go ahead. Would you like to tell us more about it?
It's ongoing pending litigation. There's motion for sanctions involved with counsel and then as well as me as an attorney. But that's all still pending.
Okay. All right, and we may follow up on that for what you're able to share. Okay, and Ms. Gardner?
Yes, as an attorney who provides direct services to hundreds of clients, many of whom I'm appointed to, I have been the subject of bar complaints several years ago. They were resolved without any further investigation upon answering. The bar found that I had done nothing wrong, so they're resolved.
Thank you very much for that information. And number 8, have you ever been investigated, arrested, charged, or convicted, including pleas of guilty or nolo contendere by any state, federal, or law enforcement authority for any violation of any federal, state, county, or municipal law other than a minor traffic offense?
No.
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 Okay, great. Okay, so those are the standard questions. Thanks for helping me get those out of the way. Now I want to do is go to each of you for, and stay with you for a series of questions. And we'll do that again for each of you. Okay. All right, so same order. Why do you want to serve on the Human Rights Commission, and what experience do you bring to this role?
I'm interested in serving in the Human Rights Commission because the issues it addresses are deeply connected to my professional and personal commitments. For more than a decade, I have worked in combating hate, employment discrimination, bullying, profiling, and addressing religious discrimination, while also advancing language access. I see the commission as a way to bring that experience home to the district, where I've lived for nearly a decade, and to help ensure that every resident can fully access the protections of the law that it affords them.
And an important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise people's awareness of the benefits of the DC Human Rights Act. Do you have any ideas for taking it in a new direction, raising awareness, new protected traits, anything like that?
Certainly. I think that the commission is already doing quite a bit of community-based outreach. And I think that there can be additional efforts to continue those efforts. There can also be some resources that can be published to help educate members of the public about what their rights are. So I would love to continue to work with the commission and find out where those resources and opportunities will exist without getting into the logistics of what that would look like.
Sure.
But certainly, I know that the district and the Human Rights Commission is responsible for enforcing the District Human Rights Act and among 16 other laws, which I don't think that the public is really fully aware of. And so I think that there's a lot more work to be done on that front, especially in the current environment that we're seeing at the federal level.
And you specifically mentioned in your testimony the Language Access Act, language access in general. So that's something that's important to you.
Yes, it is. We're seeing challenges at the federal level in terms of providing language access services. And in my view, it's more important than ever before to see the bolstering of language access at the state and local level. And I believe that the District of Columbia can lead the way on that front.
Very good. What do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today? Any recommendations you'd make to council to help solve those?
There are a lot of pressing human rights challenges in this very moment, but given the charge of this current body, I know that there are systemic issues and challenges that we need to address as a society as a whole. We need to continue to make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is front and center, because this is providing a fair shot for all Americans. It is not a quota-based system. It's not a zero-sum based system. It is ensuring that there is fairness. And I think that is a fundamental American principle that we can all agree upon.
What are other jurisdictions doing right, either international or local, that we could bring to the district in terms of reducing human rights violations or a framework for a cultural change?
There certainly are. I've seen other human rights commissions doing a lot of great work on collecting information on hate crimes, publishing that information and statistics in their dashboards and reports, ensuring that there's greater accountability on that front. And I think that that is an area that the commission could potentially do some additional work on. But the commission also, I believe, has a very symbolic role. And in doing so, it can help elevate some of the international and local human rights issues that we're seeing. We're seeing foreign governments trying to oppress dissidents here in the United States who speak out against foreign governments. And that is not something that any government should tolerate when it comes to oppressing their citizens. And I think that the Commission is certainly one avenue to address some of these emergent challenges, and we've not seen enough work done on that front. There are still a number of many other issues. Many people feel very passionate about them, and I think we all need to assess what is going to be the most important to the residents here in Washington, D.C.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Well, I think what I can say is I understand that sometimes this body can be comprised as a tribunal to adjudicate matters. So as an attorney and an advocate, I'm familiar with the investigative and adjudicatory process, evidentiary rules and procedures, and ethical obligations required to serve impartially and fairly. I've worked closely with multiple components of the U.S. Department of Justice and the Community Relations Service to help resolve conflicts and reduce tensions in communities. And over the past decade, I've advanced matters in state and federal courts and supported cases before the U.S. Employment Equal Opportunity Commission, the U.S. Department of Transportation's Aviation Consumer Protection Office, assisted victims of hate crimes to obtain justice alongside district attorneys and state attorneys generals, and handled felony matters with the prosecutor's office in Broward County, Florida. In addition, I'm a certified arbitrator by the Supreme Court of Florida, and collectively, these experiences have given me a strong grounding in investigative practice and fair resolution of disputes.
Great. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
testimony. Ms. Moreno-Sanz? Okay. Why do you want to serve on the Human Rights Commission? What experience do you bring to this role?
Well, I feel that the commission has, the values of the commission has values that deeply resonate with me regarding injustice and having all the voices respected and protecting all humans regardless of their difference. As an educator, I believe that this experience will bring also wealth to my students, as it will be as exemplary. I also intend to create like some club in this with the students to defend their human rights, and they understand that it is the relevance and the importance of such work, and they are not fear. They have no fear to express their values and make their voice sing like in an orchestra where everything is in tune and no voices are discriminated or shut down.
Thank you. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise people's awareness of the benefits of the DC Human Rights Act. Do you have any ideas for advancing that cause?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise people's awareness of the benefits of the DC Human Rights Act. And I want to know your ideas about helping.
Of course, to raise awareness. So it is important because many people in the DC district, they don't know. They also have fear. They don't know what are their rights, what are their human rights, and how can they be protected. And they are afraid to express, or sometimes they don't have access like linguistics, or they don't have values that they can share. And this is important to spread this awareness, so where every citizen feels protected and valued within the community.
Thank you very much. And what do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today?
Well, as a foreigner that I arrived in the United States like 6 years ago, even though I lived many years ago as well, the most pressing issue that I face is like race. Mm-hmm. Race in the United States is a real problem. And I really quite cannot understand how the difference in melatonin. So also in the schools, I see that in my environment, that many times there's like groups of ethnical groups that stick together and they don't mix together. So I would like to break this barrier and to I mean, I want to create more awareness that there's only one human race and we are all equal.
Thank you. What are other jurisdictions doing right that we could bring to the district in terms of reducing human rights violations or a framework for cultural change?
I saw that there's like a Robert Kennedy, a human rights commission, and he is deeply related also with Spain, and they have something in common. And I am not aware so much in the other jurisdiction in DC with human rights, but I'm aware in Massachusetts there were several jurisdictions, and that's how I was before coming to DC. I was 1 year in Massachusetts, and this is how I started to be committed with human rights. And yeah,
Anything else you'd like to add?
no,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much. Hey, Ms. Scott. Why do you want to serve on the Human Rights Commission and what experience do you bring to the role?
I want to serve on the commission. Well, honestly, working in the community, every day I look around, I was looking around like, what more can I do for the people here? What more can I do for myself? I became interested in being a commissioner. I went through each commission of DC to see which mission resonated with what I wanted to do and what I can bring. I literally clicked everyone. The Human Rights Commission was the one commission that I was like, yes, this seems like this aligns with my personal mission. So I immediately applied. And my professional and personal experience, just being able to live and work in the communities all my life. I began as a firefighter, being able to see people in these dire, urgent emergencies, like being able, I wanted to know how I could help them before they get here or after or what happened. So I began going into the community, becoming a familiar face, becoming a community leader, helping people access resources that are here that they don't know about. So that's what I plan to bring.
That's great. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise people's awareness of the DC Human Rights Act. Do you have any ideas for how to do that?
As someone already stated, you guys already do community outreach, but I do love community outreach. I love going into places that the residents don't normally see people.
Yeah.
They're not council members and committees don't normally come there. I like to go to those places, talk to those people, give them the information that they need, help them get access. So I become that familiar face, and I do think that the dialogue becomes easier because it's a familiar face telling you. So I plan to go in those untargeted territories.
Wonderful. And what do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today?
While there is so many today, diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important, more specifically equity. And not equal equity, because sometimes like we have to meet people where they are. We have to get them there. Everybody don't start with the same playing field. So just being able to level the playing field for everyone, regardless of their zip code, regardless of how they look, regardless of their income, those are important. That is important to me. So yeah, being able to be equitable.
And do you have thoughts on what other jurisdictions are doing well that we might want to replicate?
Fortunately and unfortunately, I do have tunnel vision on Washington, D.C. right now. So I'm not familiar with
okay.
other jurisdictions.
That's okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, that is all. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. And Dr. Vladio? Why do you want to serve on the Human Rights Commission and what experience do you bring to the role?
I believe I identify with the mission of the Human Rights Commission as a DC resident. As stated in my testimony, I've done work literally all over the world. So I want to bring those rights back home where I'm a resident, where I'm building my family, and I have my son and my husband here. And obviously through my work and experience in the human rights field, working with so many institutions all across the globe, I want to be able to contribute to the citizens of my district.
Wonderful. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise awareness of the Human Rights Act. Any ideas for how to do that?
Definitely, raising awareness is at the steadfast of my commitment to not only to the district, but internationally as well. I feel there's a lack of education about human rights in general, and that's where a lot of people get in trouble for. So in order to prevent that, I've been working so far with both the MOLA and MOCA offices also to raise awareness in our community and especially in our schools.
Wonderful. Um, could you say at all about what MOCA's do, what you're doing with MOCA on it?
MOCA, the mayor's office on
Yeah.
community affairs. So I often attend different community events that we do in the community. They put together in the community. So I go there and I talk with people and I tell them more about the work that we do at the Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights for the district and internationally too.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Thank you for expanding on that. And what do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today?
There are several that I feel currently are important for our district. One will be like fighting for more disability rights in our district. Language access, as was mentioned earlier, also it's an important factor. Our district has 3 official languages: Spanish, English, and Amharic. So we are a very diverse community, home to 180 or more than 180 embassies. So like we are a truly international community right here in the district. I feel like more language access would be important. Also, the fair housing, it's a very stringent issue currently, both in the ownership and like fair access to own a house in the district, but also for renters, discrimination as well. So I feel these are the most important issues right now in the district.
Thank you. And what do you think other jurisdictions are doing right that we might try to replicate here?
I think one of the best countries, let's say, in the world that has implemented human rights, it's actually the only country in the world that has human rights education in schools. It's Costa Rica, so that it's an example. I've worked in the past, collaborated with the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, where we do, we work on raising awareness on religious freedom discrimination. So those will be some examples.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Ms. Gardner, why do you want to serve on the Human Rights Commission and what experience do you bring to the role?
Thank you. Well, I specialized in international human rights as a law student at UCLA, and I've done human rights work around the world. But as an attorney, as a federal public defender, I have consistently been an advocate. So it's a very different role than I believe what's required of me on the Human Rights Commission. As an advocate, whether I agree or what I believe about whatever the case or client in front of me, I have to advocate for that. Whereas on the Human Rights Commission, as I understand it, we will be presented with facts and the law, and then we have to make a decision about whether the law was followed or not. And that is very different from being an attorney on one side. So I believe this is an opportunity for me to hone some of my other skills and also to make sure that the mission, to make sure that the ideal of what we want for DC is upheld and that the actors and agents and agencies within the district are doing the right thing.
Wonderful. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise awareness of the benefits of the Human Rights Act in DC. How do you think we can do that better or more?
I think similar to what Ms. Scott said, the fact that you have so many people that you're confirming today, people from all districts, all backgrounds, people from different parts of the world, I think that's a huge step in the right direction. I will say that I find, and I've lived all over the country, that DC residents are particularly informed, more so than a lot of other places that I've been. Just generally, I feel like DC does such a great job of making sure people are informed, and the residents are, I guess, a part of probably being in the nation's capital makes it ripe for that. But I think meeting people where they are and having people to spread the news.
What do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today?
Well, honestly, I think the rounding up of our working class and their deportation without due process is the most pressing human rights issue right now. I know this is a sensitive topic and not necessarily directly implicated in the Human Rights Commission's work, as I understand it. But I mean, I will say yesterday, I'm also the PTA president of my son's school, and he goes to a Spanish language immersion school. And there were federal agents from 4 different entities with 2 young Latino men who were in construction vests and working boots, handcuffed on the ground in view of the playground that was filled with kindergartners. And I mean, terrifying for all the people involved. And even I know, law enforcement are doing what they're doing their jobs and potentially being resented for that. And I think it just brings a demoralization to the whole community, all parties involved, whether it's the police who are doing it, the citizens that aren't getting their due process, the undocumented citizens that are being subject to terror daily. I think, yes, I will stop there.
I appreciate that answer. Thank you. And what are other jurisdictions doing right that we could bring to the district?
Well, I believe that other jurisdictions, considering everything I just said, I think that this, just jurisdiction is trying to protect the people while also trying to navigate the agenda of the powers that be and make the effects of that as least harmful for the districts as they can, as opposed to some other districts that are taking the powers that be marching orders and not necessarily protecting their constituents.
Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Norman? Why do you want to serve
Yeah.
on the Human Rights Commission? What experience do you bring to this role?
I think human rights are, deaf and deafblind and hard of hearing and late deafened people are a perfect example of a human rights issue and my experience dealing with equity for that community. The deaf, deafblind, and deaf disabled community, as well as LGBTQ plus the BIPOC community, the Asian community, all of these different identities have experienced barriers. And I have experience with those communities that I would bring to this commission. And I think I would just open people's eyes to what people have experienced in terms of human rights issues. My experience in advocacy with the National Association of the Deaf, my experience with advocacy for deaf youth, being a champion of their culture, language access. They deserve to have those basic human rights, whether in DC or anywhere in any jurisdiction. I'm very passionate about that.
Thank you very much. An important mission of the Human Rights Commission is to raise people's awareness of the benefits of the Human Rights Act. Do you have any ideas for helping advance that?
Yes. I am connected to the DC Association of the Deaf as its president. I participate in events. I partner with different organizations in that role, and I bring different communities together. I don't think I mentioned before that I'm very passionate about community building and finding out what the community's needs are, making sure that they're interacting with each other, including nonprofit organizations, and spreading the word in that way. I think that people are aware in DC, but I think that there are still underrepresented groups who do not have access to the resources. So I think it's important to bring those communities together to spread the word in that way.
Thank you. What do you think are the most pressing human rights issues facing the district today?
Well, there are many, but I would say the number one most pressing issue is language and communication access for deaf, deafblind, hard of hearing, deaf, disabled communities. Access to interpreters. I think we need to make access to language and communication more convenient rather than to be a struggle for people. It should be easy for everyone to have equal access without barriers. I believe that that is a pressing issue.
Thank you. And what are other jurisdictions doing right that we should replicate here?
DC does have a large deaf and hard of hearing community here, but there are also large communities in California, New York, Massachusetts. I think that we are behind some of those other areas in some terms. For example, in Illinois, they have a smaller community, but what they do have is an ASL interpreter licensure law. Oh, I'm sorry, that was an error from the interpreter. On their driver's licenses, they have a code indicating that the individual is deaf, so that if they are pulled over or approached by law enforcement, that they would be able to identify that to that officer to aid in communication. And DC does not have that. And it's a safety feature that allows people to know when an ambulance is in the vicinity, or to know that there's a police vehicle coming behind them that would alert them that that's happened. So there are several access features that I think could be implemented in DC, similar to that.
Wonderful, thank you. Would you like to add anything else?
No, I have nothing else to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. It was wonderful to hear from all of you today, and we really, truly have needed these commission seats filled for a very long time. So it's great to have you all here to be able to move your nominations forward, and also hope it was helpful to you to get to know each other a little bit more as you take on this role. And this will conclude today's roundtable. And I want to thank everybody for your testimony today. And to anybody in the public who wishes to submit written testimony, please do so by emailing it to publicworks@dccouncil.gov by 5:30 p.m. on October 10th. The time is now 10:32 a.m. and the hearing is adjourned.